So this is the next topic. This is BB.3, complete a function table, quadratic functions. I'm going to show you what to do really quickly here on the notes, and then we're going to head over to Mathway. We're going to be using that to calculate all our numbers to complete the tables here. So if you notice, this function that I wrote down here is the same function that is here on top of my table. In order to complete the table, I need to find the values of fs on the right side using the s on the left side. How am I going to do that? I have to replace these numbers into my equation, but only on the right side of it. So then, and anytime I do that, I have to use a parentheses. If I do not use a parentheses, I'm going to get the wrong answer. So then here what I have to do is, instead of the s, I'm going to put a parentheses around it, squared minus 1, and inside of that, I'm going to put the first s from over here, so negative 3. And then whatever that gives me, that'll be my answer in that first box. I'm going to keep doing that down the rest of the table. So I'm going to do that again, but this time with the negative 1 from the table. Then I'm going to do that again, but this time with a positive 1. So 1 squared minus 1. And I'm going to do that again, but with a positive 3. So 3 squared minus 1. And I have to find the value of all of those. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over to Mathway. I'm going to be typing those in. So parentheses, negative 3, exponent 2, minus 1. This topic really isn't hard. It's just going to take a while for you to type everything in and start getting your answers from it and then go back and submit everything. So it's not a difficult topic, it just takes a little bit of time. So this first one is going to be 8. Okay, then I type in the next one, so negative 1 squared minus 1. So then for this one it's going to be 0. And then again 1 squared minus 1. No, be careful not to do that. Make sure that when you're finished with the exponent, click on the side to move it down. Minus 1. So this next one is also going to be 0. And then parentheses 3 squared minus 1. This next one is going to be going to give me 8. So then these three numbers, 8, 0, 0, 8, those are the three numbers I'm going to go back and type into my IXL. It's going to be 8, 0, 0, and 8. That's all I'm going to do. Some of these are going to have a few more parentheses, some of these a few less. So submit. That's my answer. So same thing again, f parentheses m. So all I'm going to do here is, I just have the m squared, so parentheses negative 3 squared, parentheses negative 1 squared, parentheses 1 squared, parentheses 3 squared. All I'm doing is I'm getting the numbers on the left side of the table. I'm plugging them into my right side, but in the parentheses. So then again, I go back to Mathway. And I'm going to calculate what the numbers for those are. Now, sometimes when you do several of these, it's going to get stuck or you're going to have trouble finding the answer. Just reload the page. That way it cleans it. And you can start from a blank one again. So parentheses, negative 3 squared. That's going to give me a positive 9. Parentheses, negative 1 squared. That's going to give me a 1. Parentheses 1 squared. That's going to give me a 1 as well. And parentheses 3 squared. That's going to give me it should give me a 9. It gave me 9. I'm going to come back, type those into my table on IXL, and I'll have completed that question. 9, 1, 1, 9. Okay, so same idea here, except you have that negative in the front. So fx, I'm not gonna answer this one, I'm just gonna set it up. But here you have fx equals negative x squared. So you would do negative, because there's a negative in the equation. Then parentheses, negative 2 squared. Negative, then 0 squared, negative. Then in the parentheses, 2 squared, negative. Then in parentheses, 4 squared. Okay, so I'm not going to type these into Mathway. Just going to go ahead and solve them. So this is going to give you negative 4. This one's going to give you 0. This one's going to give you negative 4. And this one's going to give you negative 16. Okay. So if this is another type of question that you'll get. Sometimes you'll have 2 parentheses. Sometimes you'll have 3. Sometimes just 1. So all the ones we did up to now was just 1 parentheses. This one here is going to need 2 parentheses. Why? Because there is 2 variables. So we have fw equals w squared plus 6w. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a parentheses anywhere that there is a variable. And then I'm going to replace that with the numbers from my table. So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to go and write them 4 times because it's going to be the same thing over and over again. And then the only difference here, so I have those 4 done, is I'm going to replace them for the numbers from my table. So negative 7, negative 7. Then on the second one, negative 5, negative 5, negative 3, negative 3, negative 1, negative 1. So all I'm doing is I'm replacing these variables for the numbers from the table. I'm going to type those into Mathway real quick. And then I'll stop here at this example. The rest of it is pretty much the same thing. It doesn't change much from this. Parentheses, negative 7 squared plus 6 parentheses, negative 7. And just double check if that's correct. Yes. And submit. So this is going to give me positive 7. And then I'm going to do negative 5 squared plus 6 parentheses, negative 5. Just double check. Always double check that you did type it in correctly so you don't get wrong answers. This one's going to give me negative 5. And then parentheses, negative 3 squared plus 6 parentheses, negative 3. So that's going to give me negative 9. And then the last one here is going to give me negative 1 squared plus 6 parentheses, negative 1. Oh, I did that wrong. Parentheses, negative 1. I didn't put the 1. There you go. So submit that, and my answer for that one will be negative 5. So then I can come back over to Mathway, to IXL, and type my numbers in. So I have 7, negative 5, then negative 9, and negative 5. So those are the answers that I have there for that table. Again, if you have any additional questions or you're having a lot of trouble with this, make sure to ask me through Google Classroom, send me an email, or just log on to our meetings and I can help you with your questions that you have at that time. You can present your screen and I can help you. So that's it, guys. Any questions, make sure to let me know.